boys and girls. It was so good to see so many of you on Zoom yesterday, and I'm looking forward to next week. Right now, I'm just going to go over the trivia. We had, again, many people participate, and most people got it correct. So I'm going to read the trivia to you, and then we're going to break it down. Somebody used this as a strategy, and I really liked it. What do we know from reading the problem? What do we want to know? And that's going to be how much money did Jill start with? And then what we learned was going to be the amount that she started with. So Kevin runs a school bank that uses Kevish money. Kevish money is a type of money that can only be made on the computers at school and printed with the permission from Miss Knopf. Miss Knopf is the money supplier. If you deposit Kevish money into Kevin's bank, Kevin is so happy that he will triple your money. So that's the first thing that we learned, that if you make a deposit, which will be D, that will be our deposit, he's gonna multiply it by 3. So that's important information to know. So if you give him 3 Kevish dollars, he'll triple it to be 9 Kevish dollars. 3 times 3 equals 9. Good luck trying to make a withdrawal. He charges 5 Kevish dollars for withdrawals in the morning through lunchtime and 10 Kevish dollars for withdrawals after lunch. So here we have in the AM, if you make a withdrawal, he's going to take away $5. And if you do it at lunchtime or after, he's going to take your withdrawal and charge you $10. Okay. You can spend your Kevish money for things at Pam's store in the classroom. The most popular deal is for 10 Kevish dollars, you can buy a Skip homework pass. So we know that the homework pass costs 10 Kevish dollars. Okay, Jill thought Kevin's bank was a great deal and she knew how to break the bank. So she's thinking, I have a system so that his system will work in my favor. Jill said, here, Kevin, I'd like to deposit my entire savings of Kevish dollars. The next day, Jill remembered that she had dance class after school, soccer practice, and a babysitting job. She had no time to do homework. She withdrew all her money after lunch and then gave 10 Kevish dollars to Pam to buy a homework pass, Skip homework pass. Then she put all the money she had left back into Kevin's bank. She asked Kevin what her current balance was, and he said it was 426 Kevish dollars. So, in the end, Jill was going to have 426 Kevish dollars. Wow, yelled Pam. I didn't even have 60 Kevish dollars when I started. So we know that in the end, she was going to have 426, and in the beginning, which is what we want to find out, but in the beginning, she had less than 60 Kevish dollars to when she started. Okay, so that's all the information we know. So right then and there, what we're going to learn is whatever she deposited has to be less than, her deposit was less than 60 Kevish dollars when she started. Okay, so with all this information, we want to know how much Kevish dollars she started with, and that's what we're going to try to learn over here. Now, there were so many of you that had such great ideas on how to figure that out. I think I'm going to put this here in case I have to refer to it. Even the pictures in my house now are being covered with 5th grade work. Oh, maybe. Let's try this. Okay. All right. So everybody worked backwards. All right, let's try something else. Not just here. Everybody worked backwards, and that's really how you had to do it. Actually, not everybody. Some people made charts that worked the other way. So we know that she ended up with 426 Kevish dollars. That was after Kevin had tripled it. So when you work backwards, you also have to do the inverse operation. So rather than multiplying it by 3, we're going to divide it by 3. Now, there were a lot of different ways that people remembered how to divide. Some of you knew to use the standard algorithm, and that's fine. But if you're going to do it the way, one of the ways that we learned, what you want to do is you want to say about how many groups of 3 can I pull out of 426? And you want to make it easy. So you say, if I know that 3 times 100 equals 300, so I'm going to start with that. Okay, I'm going to take 100 groups out. And if I do that, I have 300, and I'm left with 126 that I still have to deal with. Well, how many groups of 3 can I pull out of 126? I can say to myself, okay, I know that if I multiply 3 times 40 and take 40 more groups out, that would be like taking 120 out. So I take that and I have 6 left. Well, I know that if I take 2 groups out, I'm going to get 6, and I have found equal groups of 3. How many equal groups of 3? 100, then I took 40, then I took 2, and so my answer is 142. So I can come up here and say, okay, that was the first step. So now I have to think back to the story, and when Jill was done getting her homework passed, she gave him 142 Kevish dollars. He multiplied it by 3, and she ended up with 426. Okay, so what happened to this $142 that she gave him? Well, we knew that she had paid $10 for the homework pass and another $10 for the withdrawal cost. And again, we're working backwards, so we have to do the opposite. So let's take a look at that and say, well, if we add 10 for the homework pass, the skip homework pass, and we add another 10 for the withdrawal cost, we end up with $162 that she had before she bought her homework pass and he took the withdrawal cost. So now we have 162. Well, we know that Kevin tripled her money to get her 162. So again, if we work backwards, we have to do the inverse operation. So that means we have to divide by 3 to see how much money she started off with. So again, we're going to look at this and we're going to say, how many groups of 3 can I pull out of 162? Well, I'm going to go up here and say, well, I know that 3 times 40 equals 120. If I take 120 out of this, I'm left with 42. Okay, so then if I look at that, I say, oh well, 3 times 10 is 30. I can get rid of those. I can get 10 more groups out of there. So if I subtract the 30, I'm left with 12. And now I know I can pull 4 groups of 3 and get 12. And so then how many groups of 3 did I pull out altogether? 40, 10, and 4. And so that means that she must have started with 54 Cavish dollars. And we go back to what we know, and here it says we know she started with less than 60. So since 54 is less than 60, that's one thing that we can say, okay, that's our answer. She started with 54 Cavish dollars. But if you're not sure, what you need to do then is work forward and see if in fact you are correct. So let's see what happens. If she starts with 54 Cavish dollars and she gives it to Kevin, he's going to multiply that by 3. And you guys do this multiplication different ways. Let's say if we did 3 times 50, that's 150. 3 times 4 is 12. We get $162. Okay, so he gives her $162 when she withdraws all her money. And then he charges her $10 for it. And so she's down to 152. And then she buys a homework pass. And then she buys a homework pass, and it's 142 Cavish dollars that she has. So now she's going to give him 142 Cavish dollars to deposit into his Kevin's bank, and he automatically triples that money. So we know that 3 times 100 is 300, 3 times 40 is 120, and 3 times 2 is 6. And we end up with the final amount that they said she had, 426 Cavish dollars. So we did the work here, but then we checked it with the information that we know. So that's great, and that's how most of you did it. I would like to find somebody who did a guess and check chart, which I thought was very interesting. Okay, and I hope that I can do this justice, that you understand what's going on here. So, for the first step, her goal was to get 426, because we know that that's what she ended up with. And she knew that each time that she was going to have to multiply some number times 3 in order to get this final amount. So that's what she started with first. So she picked a number because, again, it's guess and check. And then she was going to multiply that by 3, get the answer, and then say, am I going to get 426? So she started with, well, let's say if we started with 150. 150 times 3 is 450. Okay, 450 was her answer. I guess these two go together. And so that can't be right. Okay, and then she said, okay, because that's too high, let me go lower. And this cracks me up. She tried 113, and she said 113 would give us 339, and that's not 426, so that wasn't right. And then she tried 142, and she multiplied that times 3, and she got 426. So that was correct. So she knew that at the very end of the problem, Jill had given Kevin 142 Kevish dollars. And that's how she ended up with 426. So she took the first step. She's also working backwards. But instead, she's kind of trying to guess what the number might be. Then she said, okay, if I knew she gave him $142, then she must have, because she had already paid $10, now I'm going to add the $10 for the homework pass, and I'm going to add the $10 withdrawal fee, and I'm going to end up with, at some point, she had 126 Kevish dollars. And then she had to say, okay, well, I know that he had tripled that, okay? In order to, so if I'm going to find out what she deposited, I know that Kevin tripled that in order to get this. So I'm going to just take a look at it and say, okay, well, I know if I do 50, 50, 50, I would get 150. And then there would be 12 more left over. And so I know that if I add 4 to each of this, I'm going to get the 162. So that means that Jill must have given him $54 to start. So really interesting ways to try to figure it out. And a lot of you did a lot of other things, which I loved. I'm not going to make this video too long because I know you want to get to who exactly won, but I really, really loved some of your methods for problem solving. Okay, so in my bucket, I have Reagan, Audrey, Austin, Nick, Ryan, Elise, and Allie. And if I could have a drum roll, please. Oh dear. Okay, and here we go. And the winner is Reagan Dubay. Round of applause for Reagan. Okay. In Mrs. Sullivan's bucket, there's Brielle, Catalina, Brian, Harrison, Aiden, Sophie, Cameron, Mason, and Ryan. So another drum roll, please. Here we go. Aiden. Congratulations, Aiden. And the winners in Mrs. Heath's class are so lucky because there are only 3 of you, Riley, Aiden, and Colin. And let's see, that would be Colin P. Let's see who is the winner for this one. Colin P. Congratulations, Colin. So you guys should be receiving your gift shortly. Congratulations to all of you who got it. There was a lot of work involved here. I'm really proud of you all for trying. So congratulations and enjoy your weekend. And for those of you that may be celebrating Easter, have a wonderful, wonderful Easter.